Hello YouTube. I apologize in advance for the poor mic quality. But down to business. So recently I got a message from someone called Nub on Steam, and he wanted to see a bit more about the commands. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going over the friend command and the change name command. So now let's get started. First you want to start off in your send command, because this is where we're going to demonstrate the isBotAdmin bool variable, which we're going to do. So you're going to want to start off here. However, you're going to want to go down here next to your separate function, and we're going to create a public static bool isBotAdmin. And what we're going to want to do is receive a Steam ID. Second, let me turn off shadow play. Because that's why I've got an FPS marker right there, because for some reason Visual Studio and shadow play don't like to get along. Anyway, back to what I was saying, is you are going to want to accept a Steam ID so that we can compare it against the one that we're going to have in admin.txt, which we'll create in a second as soon as we're done creating this. So Steam ID, SID, you can name it whatever you want again, but you know, it's always nice to be obvious in what it is. So first off, you're going to get like a little red thing, but this is because we haven't done anything. We haven't returned anything. So as you can see, not all cope has return a value. So don't worry about that yet. So we're going to create admin.text at bot startup. So we're going to create it in the place that we've done all of our other stuff, which is in main. So like where we created chat.txt, we're also going to create admin.text. So for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to copy and paste this. And then we're going to rename that to admin. Now what you're going to want to do is put your own Steam ID 64 in here. If you don't know what that is, you can go to this fancy schmancy website called steamidconverter.com. So, as you can see, you can put in any form of Steam ID, and it will find your Steam, it will give you all other forms of the Steam ID. So I have a custom URL, so I'm just going to put that in, but you might not, so just make sure you copy and paste that. Copy and paste your Steam ID, which you can also find by doing this, by going to Friends, clicking on your portrait, going to your profile page, right-click, copy page URL, and then paste it in here. And it will do the same thing. Anyway, so, oops. So we're going to write that to the file because we're going to be reading it later. We're going to go all the way back down to where we were. So we're going to create a try-catch statement. I don't know if we've gone over these before, but what it does is if something goes wrong that the program can't handle itself, this will catch it, and this is where you're supposed to solve the problem or just crash the program, whatever you want it to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the message to the console to let the bot admin know what's going on. So e.message is the exception information that we'll need to know. And then return false. So this is a bool variable, and it's going to be whether or not the person is a bot admin. If anything goes wrong, we're just going to automatically assume that the person who caused the exception, or the bot itself, it doesn't matter, whatever caused the exception, we're going to automatically return false so that the command doesn't continue or anything like that, so that a person could cheat and somehow use an administrator command. So when in doubt, we just say no. Okay, so we're going to do a little fancy thing here. It's a bit long, but try not to, get too caught up with it because it's long, but it's super easy to understand. So convert.toUint in 64. Because we're going to be looking at the 64 version, the Steam ID 64 version of the Steam ID. Equals, because that's what we put in admin.txt. So speaking of admin.txt, type convert.toUint64 because what's contained inside of admins.txt is a string and not an unsigned integer. That would cause problems, but since we're going to convert it to an unsigned integer, we are good. So then file.readAllText, admin.txt. So this is going to return a string of everything we put in admin.txt. And since the only thing that should be in admin.txt is a single SteamID64, we should be good by just reading the entire thing. So this is going to convert the string, which is here, into an unsigned integer, which is what this is as well. And then we just need another thing right there. And then if the comparison is true, return true, so it lets the function know, or whatever the calling function is, that we are indeed an admin and to please let us do whatever the hell we want. So then, if it doesn't match, this will not return, so it will just fall through here. So we don't need to put an else statement. You could, but it's not really needed. So, Steam Friends, I'm just going to copy and paste it. Copy and paste a part anyway. Okay, so Steam Friends dot send chat message sid Steam ID, each add entry type dot chat message, the usual, what we've always done. And then you are not a bot admin. So I need to inform the user, of course, that they're not allowed to use that. Then we're going to let the console know that someone tried to use an administrator command. I copied and pasted it, but that's not really important. We also want a space there. So console.writeLine, we're going to give the console user, or the console master, the name of the person who tried to use it, and let the console master know that someone tried to use an administrator command. And then return false to let this bool statement know that the person is obviously not a bot admin. So go back to your send command, or any commands that you may have, and then do this, if, and then here's the little exclamation point we talked about in the last video. I think the last video, one of the videos anyway. So is bot admin, and then callback.sender, because callback.sender is a Steam ID, and our isBotAdmin function takes a Steam ID. And then just return. This will make sure that nothing, or break. My bad. This will make sure that if the person is not a bot admin, they will get no further than here. Okay, so we can just close out of that region for a little bit. We can also close out of that region. So you may find yourself wanting to specifically friend someone, and for whatever reason, they can't add you, or I don't know, it doesn't really matter. If you just want to manually friend someone, this is the command to use. So, regions aren't important, they're just good for organization. which is important, but that's kind of beside the point. Okay, so we've talked about how the args work. So args equals separate. We're only going to be taking one argument. The separator is going to be a space, and we're going to be using a callback.message to separate. So then we're going to inform the console master that someone is currently using this command. I'm copying and pasting, but again, that's just because it's long. It would have taken too much time to type out, but it's super simple. You know, console.writeLine, the first argument that they're trying to use, the user of the argument, or no, the person they're trying to friend's name, and then the user of the argument. So then, what we'll want to do is check to see if the user is baudadmin. So of course is, so if exclamation point is baudadmin, callback.sender, return. So if the person isn't a baudadmin, don't let them get any further than here. So then we need to see if the expected amount of arguments was received. So because we went over this in, like, I don't know, ages ago, that if the expected number of arguments was not received, separate will return -1 inside the first argument. So we need to make sure that nothing went wrong. So if something went wrong, we're going to give the user the syntax of the command, since they obviously don't know what they're talking about. So again, copied and pasted, but just brevity. You know, it's a lot of this is pretty repetitive. Okay, so then we're going to create another try statement. And then in the catch part, we're going to do just a general, or no, a format exception. And then we're going to tell the user of the command that it was not a valid Steam ID. And then we're going to simply do this is Steam ID. We're going to create a new Steam ID because this is going to be the Steam ID of the person we're trying to friend. Valid SID. You can name it anything. I just called it this because we need to make sure it's valid. Equals convert dot to uint64, of course. Args 1. As you can see, the second argument, because, you know, our arrays start at 0, so this is technically 2. This is going to be the Steam ID. That we're going to use. And since a Steam ID is an unsigned integer 64, we're going to convert it. So if it was not if the argument could not be converted to an unsigned integer, we're going to let them know that something went wrong, which is why this format exception is here. Okay, so then we have a fancy little thing inside of SteamKit 2 where you can check with, I think, Valve's servers if a Steam ID is indeed correct. So we're going to do that as well, just in case it could be converted, but is if it's valid. If it's not valid, so exclamation point valid SID is valid. So if it's invalid, we're going to let them know again. So we're just going to do a bit of copy pasta. So if no person exists under this Steam ID, we're going to let them know that something went wrong. Now, here is the whole shebang, the most complicated part of this entire thing. Now, follow me closely here. SteamFriends dot add friend valid SID. Are you with me? Okay, just wanted to make sure. So there you have it. That's the whole friend command right there. I'm also a bit of a retard and forgot to put this here. That was my bad. So we need to put the case statement. Don't forget that part. So really most of this function was just error checking, as you can see. But if you don't want to go through the whole error checking and, don't care if your thingy crashes, then you could just do SteamFriends.addFriend, the first argument. But most of this will keep your bot from crashing. So then Nub also wanted to know how to change the bot's name through a command. Now this was like one of the first things I also wanted to do because, signing into the account manually and changing the name was kind of a pain in the ass. So case, change name, break. So again, a bit of error checking to do, but not half as much as there was inside of friend. So now we're just going to call this the usual stuff, which is we're basically going to do everything we did inside of friend right here again, but this time it's here. So you can copy and paste is what I'm saying, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So if you're going to be doing this copy and paste method, which is kind of a bad idea, I guess, is the point here. Why doesn't that exist? Sure it exists. Is if you're going to be copying and pasting, always make sure that everything is correct. So make sure this is correct, make sure this entire thing is correct, make sure this is correct, and so basically, be careful with your copy and pastes. So then we're going to put this inside a region called the usual stuff. Again, not important, just makes the function look less ugly. Oops. And then what we're going to do is, it's about as simple as SteamFriends.addFriend, except this time it's SteamFriends.setPersonaName. args1. Since the second argument's going to be the name we want it to be, we just slap it in there. There's no conversion needed whatsoever. So apparently it doesn't like my separate function there, so just give me a second. Separate. Oh, that's capital S, my bad. Any questions, just put them in the comments. I'm probably not explaining things too terribly well. I'm kind of out of it today, but, I will respond to your comments. I always will. I check every day to see if there's a new comment. I usually check like 2 or 3 times a day. I really don't have a life. Okay, so, of course, we always have to show that it works. So, this is going to be a little bit difficult since I can't really demonstrate the friend command, which is an issue. So I'll have to talk to a friend. I'm going to pause the recording and work out a deal with someone real quick. Okay, so he actually has to go. So the console will still tell us that someone sent a friend request. The bot sent a friend request is what I'm trying to say. So we'll still be able to show it that way. So of course, start up the bot. Please ignore all of this. This was when I was running my custom bot on it. Okay, so we're first going to try out the change name command. Ta-da! As you can see, change name Bob command received. User me. So I'm going to tell it to friend one of my friends, and it should show up on the console to show that it's working. Or maybe not. So let me pop this in real quick. Yeah, that's weird. Um, hmm. I think that's actually a problem with my code. Oh, for one thing, we need to convert this to a SteamID64 as well. Okay, so we're going to log in again after fixing that. So, yeah, so this part apparently isn't actually necessary. He did get the request, as you can see. I don't know why it was bugging, why it wasn't converting it correctly, but there you have it. So let's use the friends command to prove it. Okay, so, there you go. There he is in our friends list now. So the friend request was successfully sent. So there you have it. There are tons of cool things you can do with the SteamKit 2 API, so just poke around in it a little bit. Think of a command you want to make, and then make it. It's a lot of fun, actually. So again, like, comment, subscribe. I will answer any and all questions I receive to the best of my ability, even to the point of providing lots of code from my own stuff. So, thank you for watching.